Hi everyone, I did not think that my life can be like this. My wife has a lover, it was her boss, she lost interest in me, and what will happen in my story will shock you. I've been married to my wife, Jenna, for 8 years. We met young. I was working on my dad's farm, she was fresh out of community college working at the local diner. She had this spark, you know. She talked big dreams, big city life, but somehow I convinced her that love and a simpler life weren't such a bad thing. We got married a year after meeting. I built our little home from the ground up, literally. And I kept working the farm, expanding it, busting my back every day so she could go back to school and eventually land herself a job in marketing for a big firm in the city. At first, I was proud of her. She worked hard, climbed fast. She'd come home tired, but happy. We still laughed. We still had date nights. But somewhere around 6 months ago, things shifted. She started staying late at work. A lot. Deadlines, she'd say. The team's under pressure. And I bought it, because I trusted her. Why wouldn't I? She'd been my ride or die from day one. But then she started getting snappy. Like, I'd ask how her day went, and she'd bite my head off. Everything I said annoyed her. God forbid I mentioned missing her or wanting to spend time together, that would set her off. I even started sleeping in the guest room sometimes just to avoid her moods. I thought maybe she was just burnt out. City life, corporate pressure, that kind of thing. I even looked into booking us a weekend away, just the two of us. She shot it down. Said she had too much going on at work and couldn't afford the time. That's when something in my gut started twisting. And once that feeling set in, it didn't let go. So I started paying more attention. I'm not the jealous type. Hell, I never even thought to check her phone in all our years together, that's how much I trusted her. But something just felt off. You know when a person stops being present even when they're in the same room? That was Jenna. She was there, but not really. Smiling at her phone more than she smiled at me. Quiet, distant, always too tired, always somewhere else mentally. One night, she left her phone charging on the kitchen counter when she jumped in the shower. I wasn't trying to snoop, I swear. But it buzzed, and the message preview was just right there. I don't know if it was instinct or just the weight of weeks of doubt, but I looked. It was from a guy saved as M. He'd written, "Still thinking about that kiss. You taste like trouble." I remember standing there staring at the screen like my brain short-circuited. The kind of thing that doesn't feel real at first. My heart was pounding like a war drum. I scrolled up, there were more. Flirty texts. Inside jokes. Plans to catch up after work. Mentions of our spot and how she should wear that red dress again. I snapped a couple pics with my own phone. Then I put hers back exactly where it was, screen down, like I hadn't touched a thing. She came out of the bathroom all casual, towel on her head, talking about how exhausted she was. I don't remember much of what I said. I think I nodded and pretended to listen while my insides were doing cartwheels. I just kept thinking, how long has this been going on? Who the hell is M? Spoiler alert, M is her boss. Michael. Some silver-haired, smooth-talking executive I met once at her office Christmas party. He shook my hand like he wanted to break it. Jenna said he was a bit much back then. Apparently now she likes a bit much. I didn't confront her that night. I couldn't. I was angry, yeah, but mostly I felt like I'd just swallowed broken glass. I slept maybe 2 hours, lying next to her like nothing was wrong, while every part of me screamed. The next morning, I made up an excuse about needing to fix the irrigation pipes early and left before sunrise. Sat in my truck for an hour, trying to figure out what to do next. But I already knew what I had to do. I was going to follow her. Waited until Friday. That's her usual, late night, at the office. I told her I'd be working late myself, which wasn't even a lie. There's always something to fix on the farm, and I needed something to keep my hands busy or I was gonna explode. She left around the same time she always does, all dolled up, makeup perfect, more effort than usual for a day at the office, but she brushed it off like it was client meetings and presentation day. I nodded, kissed her cheek, and wished her good luck. I had to fight the urge to scream. Once she was gone, I hopped in my old Chevy and followed about a block behind. No GPS, no real plan, just gut instinct and rage. She didn't go to her office. Didn't even turn in that direction. She drove across town, headed toward downtown like it was the most natural thing in the world. Parked a few blocks away from this fancy-ass restaurant I didn't even know existed. You know, the kind with gold trim on the doors and valet parking? Way out of our usual budget. That's when he showed up. Michael. I recognized him right away, even in the dark. He was wearing some sleek gray suit like he'd stepped out of a cologne ad. He walked up to her like he owned her, hand on her waist, leaned in, kissed her cheek, too close to her lips. She giggled. Giggled like a damn teenager. Like the version of her I hadn't seen in months. I swear I felt something snap inside me. They walked in together, arm in arm, like it was their 100th date. Meanwhile, I'm parked across the street in my mud-covered truck, heart racing, hands clenched on the steering wheel so tight they cramped. I sat there for a good 20 minutes just staring at the glowing sign above the restaurant door, wondering how the hell this became my life. Eventually, they came out again. She was holding his arm, and he opened the car door for her like some kind of budget Prince Charming. They drove off, and I followed. They didn't go to his place. Nah, that would have been too obvious. They went to a hotel. One of those high-end, boutique places that tries to pretend it's not exactly what it is, a clean, quiet spot to cheat. They didn't even try to hide it. They walked right in together. No hesitation. No shame. I didn't go in. I couldn't. I just sat in the parking lot, fists shaking, staring at that front entrance like I could burn it down with my eyes. And then, I drove home. Didn't sleep. Didn't eat. Just sat in the living room all night with the TV on, volume low, watching shadows crawl across the walls while my marriage died quietly around me. She came home around 7 a.m. I was already sitting at the kitchen table, still in yesterday's clothes, half a cup of cold coffee in front of me. She walked in like she had just gone for a morning jog or something. Hair a little messy, makeup smudged, wearing the same heels from the night before. She froze when she saw me sitting there. "Hey, you're up early," she said, like it was nothing. Like she wasn't walking into a storm. I didn't say anything at first. Just stared at her. My jaw was tight, my hands folded in front of me to keep from shaking. She tossed her purse on the counter and tried to breeze past me toward the bedroom, but I finally said it. "Where were you last night, Jenna?" She turned, slow. "I told you, work ran late." I stood up. "You sure about that?" She narrowed her eyes. "What's that supposed to mean?" And that's when I laid it out. Calm. Controlled. Way calmer than I felt. I told her I knew she didn't go to the office. That I'd seen her with Michael. That I followed them to dinner. That I watched them walk into a hotel like they didn't have a care in the world. I told her I saw everything, every fake smile, every flirty glance, every damn lie. She just stood there. Frozen. Then her face changed, not guilt, not remorse. Annoyance. "You followed me?" she snapped. "Are you serious right now? Like I was the one who crossed the line." I laughed. I couldn't help it. A bitter, broken laugh that came from somewhere deep in my gut. "That's what you're worried about? That I followed you? Not the fact that you're screwing your boss behind my back?" She rolled her eyes. Rolled. Her eyes. "Oh my God, don't be dramatic. It's not like it meant anything. That hit harder than the cheating. The way she said it, like she was brushing lint off her shoulder. Like I was some gullible farm boy who couldn't handle real-world stuff. You threw away 8 years for something that doesn't even mean anything? I asked, voice shaking now. She crossed her arms. We haven't been happy in a long time, admit it. You're stuck out here with your cows and your dirt, and I've grown. I'm not that girl anymore. That was the dagger. She didn't just cheat, she outgrew me. At least in her eyes. She didn't apologize. Not once. Didn't cry. Didn't beg. She stood there like she was inconvenienced. Like I was wasting her time. That's when I knew we were done. After she dropped that line, I've grown, I didn't say much else. What was the point? She'd already left me in her mind long before she ever left our house. The woman standing in front of me wasn't my wife anymore. She was some cold, polished version of herself who looked down on the life we built like it was a bad memory. She packed a bag that morning. Didn't even ask if she should, just started tossing clothes into her stupid overpriced suitcase like it was any other business trip. She paused by the front door, like she was about to say something. But whatever it was, she must have thought better of it. She just walked out. No hug, no goodbye, no, I'm sorry. The silence after the door clicked shut was deafening. I sat on the couch for hours. Stared at the dent in the carpet where her heels always left little marks by the door. I kept expecting her to walk back in and say it was all a mistake. That she'd lost her mind. That she still loved me. She didn't. That day bled into the next. And the next. I didn't go to the fields. Didn't touch the animals. Didn't answer my phone. My mom came by to check on me and I told her everything. She cried harder than I did. Said she always had a bad feeling about Jenna once she got that new job, but didn't want to meddle. I wasn't mad at her. I was mad at me. For not seeing it sooner. For letting it get this far. For working my hands to the bone for someone who saw my life as small and beneath her. I started drinking more than I should. I'm not proud of it. But when you've built your whole damn world around someone and they kick it out from under you, you start reaching for whatever dulls the pain, even if just for a night. The worst part? I still missed her. Even after everything. That's when I realized just how deep the damage went. I wasn't just heartbroken. I was erased. Like everything I'd done, everything we'd shared, everything I sacrificed, none of it mattered to her anymore. I was mourning someone who wasn't even dead. Just gone. About a week after she left, just when I thought the silence couldn't get any heavier, she texted me. At first I thought maybe, it was an apology. A moment of clarity. Some kind of regret. I opened the message, heart pounding like an idiot. It said, "Hey. Can we talk? I think I left my gold bracelet in the bathroom drawer. Can you check? Not I'm sorry. Not how are you holding up. Not I messed up. Just, a damn bracelet." I stared at that message for a solid 5 minutes. That thing probably cost more than my tractor, and somehow that felt symbolic. Like she'd left behind a piece of shiny garbage in exchange for everything real. I didn't reply. I went to the bathroom, found the bracelet, still tangled up with her old hair ties and bobby pins, and threw it in a shoebox with a bunch of her other stuff she hadn't bothered to take. I dropped it off at her sister's place the next day. Didn't say a word. Just left it on the porch and drove off. That night, she texted again. I saw the box. Thanks for dropping it off. I didn't expect you to be so cold about all this. I read that one 5 times, too. Cold. Me. Cold. She walks out on me after cheating with her boss, and I'm the cold one. I finally replied. What did you expect, Jenna? A hug and a homemade pie. She didn't answer. That was the last message I ever got from her. But here's where it gets weird. 2 days later, Michael's wife, yeah, his actual wife, messages me on Facebook. Apparently, she just found out too. Saw something on his work laptop he forgot to erase. Screenshots. Videos. Emails. Turns out Jenna wasn't the only one. He had at least 3 other women on the hook, 2 of them also working under him. It was a whole damn harem. Corporate Harvey Weinstein type stuff. His wife, let's call her Claire, was devastated. We ended up talking for over an hour. Swapping notes. Comparing lies. It was like reading a play-by-play of our own mutual betrayal. Weirdest part. Claire was kind. Strong. Real. We ended the call with her saying, "You didn't deserve this." And neither did I. It was the first time in weeks I felt seen. After that conversation with Claire, something in me started to shift. I'd been stuck in this cycle of replaying every second of my marriage, wondering what I did wrong, how I missed the signs, if I could have stopped it. But hearing her side, hearing someone else tell me, "You're not crazy, and it wasn't your fault," that cracked the door open. Just enough light to see the truth I'd been avoiding. Jenna didn't just betray me. She discarded me. She decided her new life, the one with polished floors and office flings and hotel bars, was more valuable than the blood, sweat, and years we built together. And you know what? I started realizing I didn't want her back. Not anymore. So I did something that, a few weeks earlier, I couldn't have imagined. I started letting go. It started small. I took off my wedding ring, first time since the day I put it on. It had left a little tan line on my finger, like a ghost of what used to be there. I stood in the mirror staring at that pale strip of skin for way too long. Then I shoved the ring into the back of a drawer and slammed it shut. Next, I cleaned the damn house. Not just because it was a mess, though it was, but because it still smelled like her. Her perfume. Her lotions. Her shampoo. I stripped the bed. Burned some woodsy candles. Opened every window in the house until it smelled like earth and rain and not like betrayal. Then I did something I hadn't done since before she left. I walked the fields. It was late afternoon. Golden hour. Everything looked warm and alive, like the land was reminding me that some things don't leave. Some things stay with you, through every storm, through every mistake. The cows needed feeding. The fence needed mending. The chickens had knocked over their water again. Life didn't stop just because I got gutted. So I didn't stop either. I started getting up early again. Started working like the farm mattered, not just to feed us, but to feed me. I went to town and had coffee at the diner Jenna used to work at, just to remind myself I still had a place in this world. I even helped Claire set up a meeting with a lawyer. She was taking Michael to the cleaners. Turns out he had a lot more to lose than I did. And me? I was starting to think I didn't lose as much as I thought. It was a Sunday. Late afternoon. I'd just come in from the barn, hands still dusty, boots tracking a little dirt on the kitchen floor I still hadn't cleaned properly since she left. I had a beer in one hand and a good old Hank Williams record playing low in the background. Peaceful. Quiet. Like the kind of quiet that used to feel lonely, but was finally starting to feel like mine again. Then I heard a knock at the door. Didn't even have to look through the window. I knew it was her. Something in the air shifted, like the wind held its breath. I opened the door, and there she was. Jenna. Standing there in a white blouse, makeup soft, hair down, looking like she'd rehearsed this moment 100 times. She was holding one of those canvas tote bags, the kind people bring when they're pretending to be casual but really packed it with guilt and a last-ditch pitch. "Hey," she said, with a small smile like she'd just come back from the store instead of blowing up our life. "Hey, I said, leaning against the doorframe but not moving aside. She looked around the place like she was seeing it for the first time in years. Like suddenly it was quaint instead of too small for someone who's grown. I wanted to talk, she started. Can I come in? I didn't answer right away. Just stepped aside enough for her to walk in if she really wanted to. She did. Slowly. Carefully. Like the house might bite. She looked around. You've been cleaning. Nope, I said. Just open some windows. She laughed nervously, but I didn't. I waited. Then she did exactly what I expected. Started talking about how confused she was, and how Michael turned out to be a huge mistake, and how she didn't know what she was thinking. She even said, and I quote, "You and I have something real. I think I just needed space to see that." Space? She needed a luxury suite and another man's bed to see that. I didn't blow up. I didn't yell. I just let her keep talking while I watched the clock tick behind her like it was counting down to when she'd finally shut up. "I miss you," she said finally. "I miss this. Us. I made a mistake." I leaned back against the counter. Looked her straight in the eyes. "Yeah, you did." Her face cracked for the first time, a flicker of emotion that almost looked like regret, but I didn't buy it. Maybe she missed the comfort. The backup plan. The version of me that would have forgiven her just to stop the bleeding. But I wasn't that version anymore. "I think you should go," I said, calm and steady. Her mouth opened, like she was going to argue, but she must have seen something in my eyes, because she closed it again. Just nodded slowly. Picked up her tote bag. On her way out, she paused. "You've changed." "Yeah," I said. "Turns out I've grown, too." Door shut behind her. Final this time. And you know what? I didn't feel empty. I felt free. After Jenna left for the second, and final, time, I just stood there in the quiet. No yelling. No crying. No whiskey bottle in my hand. Just me, the soft scratch of the record spinning in the background, and the steady hum of a home finally cleared of her presence. And for the first time in a long time, I felt peace. Not the kind I used to imagine, like some sunset Hallmark moment where everything wraps up with a bow. No. This was quieter. Simpler. Messy around the edges but honest. It felt like me again. And that feeling? That's something I wouldn't trade for all the fake smiles and lipstick lies in the world. I got back to working the farm like I wanted to, not because I was trying to prove something. Fixed the back fence. Repainted the shed. Even rehomed that old rooster Jenna always said was too loud and too ugly. Damn thing was probably smarter than she gave it credit for. It bit her once, and now I wonder if it just knew. I started making time for things I'd let go. Spent more afternoons fishing with my brother. Took my old dog out on long walks through the hills like we used to before life got heavy. Even reconnected with a couple buddies from high school, ones Jenna never liked for not being ambitious enough. They liked beer, football, and didn't give a damn about my dirty boots, so that was good enough for me. And Claire. We stayed in touch. Not in a weird way. Not romantic. Just, two people who went through the same storm and made it out alive. She told me she filed for divorce and got herself a good lawyer who was digging deep into Michael's shady business dealings. She even laughed a little when she told me he tried to win her back with a necklace he bought for one of his other side women. I told him to choke on it, she said. Politely. Damn, I liked her fire. And me? I didn't date. Not yet. I'm not against it, but I'm not rushing into anything either. Right now, I'm learning how to be me again. Or maybe for the first time in a long time. The guy who doesn't need someone else to feel like he matters. The guy who knows his worth, even if his hands are dirty and his boots are worn. Because peace isn't always loud. Sometimes it's just a man standing in his field at sunset, hands on his hips, breathing deep like the air finally belongs to him again. If you've made it this far, first off, thanks. Writing this all out was harder than I thought it'd be, but I guess part of healing is letting the truth have some air. And if you're reading this because you're going through something similar, someone you loved betrayed you, blindsided you, tossed you aside like you were nothing, then I want to leave you with a few things I've learned the hard way. 1. Trust your gut. You know that little voice that starts whispering when something feels off? Listen to it. I ignored mine for months. Wrote it off as insecurity or stress. But it was right. Your intuition might be quiet, but it rarely lies. 2. Cheating isn't a mistake. A mistake is forgetting to pick up milk or dropping your phone in the toilet. Cheating is a choice. A series of choices, really, to lie, to hide, to put someone else ahead of the person who trusted you most. Don't let anyone minimize that. 3. You're not crazy for still loving them, even after the betrayal. Love doesn't just shut off because someone turned into a stranger. That's human. That's normal. What matters is what you do with that love, whether you keep torturing yourself with it, or let it go and start using that energy to rebuild you. 4. You don't need closure to move on. Sometimes, the apology never comes. Sometimes, the answers are half-truths wrapped in manipulation. Don't wait around for a clean ending. Sometimes the best closure you'll ever get is realizing you deserve better, and walking away. 5. Your life is still yours. When someone cheats on you, it feels like your world shrinks to just that, the betrayal, the hurt, the anger. But the truth is, your life is so much bigger than their lies. There's still joy out there. Peace. Laughter. Purpose. And it's all still yours. Looking back, I think the hardest part wasn't losing her, it was realizing I'd lost parts of myself along the way. The man who made time for sunsets. Who laughed without checking to see if someone else was watching. Who worked the land with pride and came home with dirt under his nails and earned peace in his chest. But I've found him again. Hell, maybe I've found an even better version. So if you're reading this and you're still deep in the fog, wondering if you'll ever feel okay again, you will. It won't be easy. It'll hurt like hell some days. But you'll get through it. And one day, you'll look back at that person who broke your heart, and instead of pain, you'll feel nothing at all. And that's when you'll know, you're free. Thanks for reading. A guy with muddy boots, a full heart, and no room left for liars.